Welcome to Three Devs and a Maybe, the podcast series for beginner web developers and general web enthusiasts. Now, introducing your show hosts, Michael Budd, Fraser Hart, Lewis Keynes, and Ed Mann.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Three Devs and a Maybe. I am Michael Budd, and I am joined today by Ed Mann.
Hello.
And the delectable special guest, Joe Watkins. Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Hello.
Delectable? What does delectable mean?
Yeah, I have no
I don't
idea
know.
what delectable means.
I just...
It sounds good. It sounds good. But is
I'll
there some
Wikipedia
northern
it
word
afterwards.
that's bad? I don't know.
I just heard it on TV recently.
Delectable.
Delectable. It might not even exist, but I don't know.
What TV show was this? Was this Jeremy Kyle or that new Judge Judy type show? I don't know.
I only watch...
Just say it wasn't Joey Essex.
Yeah, that's it. Please say Ed. It was definitely not Joe.
Definitely not that. No. Sorry.
That, I like it. He's not a him, it's a that.
Yeah. But anyway, Joe, how are you?
I'm doing well, yeah.
How is the Isle of Wight?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Even when it rains and like when it snows a little bit, it's still pretty.
I love the Isle of Wight. I really have got a lot of time for it.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. And how about you, Ed?
Yeah, it's going really well. Really well.
It's been a couple of days since I spoke to you, I guess.
I was thinking that, not much has happened since then. But I would let you know, obviously, if it had. So
yeah,
you
sure.
can just reassure that it's exactly the same. I'm doing well. How about you, Mickey?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I have had a bit of a weird issue today. Is now a good time to just bring that up quickly?
Go for it. Did you meet Joey Essex
Maybe
and have an awkward conversation with him?
I was doing a WorldPay integration today. Have either of you ever done WorldPay?
No, I don't want to do any payment gateways. I hate them. They're scary.
Yeah, the payment notification thing. I'm getting an error, basically saying that it's a 403 error, like forbidden thing.
Okay.
And I don't know why. When I change the payment notification address to my own private box, it works fine. What would that be?
Is this like a quiz? Oh, damn it. 50-50. Phone a friend, ask the audience.
Yeah. What I did was a debugging technique. I opened up created a curl request, and I did it to my box so that it worked fine. When I did the curl request against the IPN address on the box, it came back again, forbidden.
So hang on, so that when they try and request the IPN from they request your page from you, it comes up with your page says 443. You're not allowed to actually access this. Yeah, and I went into
htaccess, and I basically added something to say like allow anything from cross server, blah blah blah, because I thought maybe that was causing an issue, but no.
That's strange. And you can access it just through the browser. Is that
works fine?
It's not got any funky doesn't check any headers in the file, make sure it's actually a real browser request. It doesn't like automatic bot type things, maybe, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, but I honestly don't think so. I don't know. But
I think the best solution is to not do payment gateways.
Yeah.
Is to give up. I don't know about Joe. I would give up on payment gateways.
Yes, hire a lackey, I would.
Well, thanks.
Or Joey Essex. He is a...
We'll get him on the case.
We'll get Joey Essex on the case.
Anyway.
Any of our audience who don't know who Joey Essex is, don't worry, we'll have pictures and links in the show notes.
He's huge all over the world. Anyway, Ed, I'll hand over to you. You've got some...
Okay. Well, yes. So, Joe, how has it been since the last time we spoke? It's been probably about a couple of weeks now, actually.
Yeah, I was working on Vitess.
Yeah, how did that go?
Well, actually, I have bravely decided to give up.
No, why? Joey would be really upset.
Just because it says in the documentation that it's not ready for unsupervised use.
Ah, right.
I was going to sort of try and reproduce it, but I don't have the resources that they've got, and it would take me longer to get something stable than it's going to take them to get something stable.
So, because you were saying that Vitess is a load balancing solution for MySQL databases.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple of binary protocol version ports to make it so it works for Java and it works for Python.
You can write drivers in other languages, which doesn't seem all that great to me. But then, nor does it seem that great to reproduce all the work just to do it in the same language sort of thing. I like the idea, but I mean, I can't really just do whatever I want. I've got to do what's sensible.
So did your boss? Because I remember you saying that your boss like showed you this, or your manager said, "Hey, look at this, check this." So do you have like a time box, like deadline of how long you can spend playing around with this, seeing if it's feasible, or is it more just like a side project type thing?
No, I don't really do deadlines. I was just sort of told about it, and then sort of asked to look at it, and I probably spent more than a month on it, to be honest, just researching and researching all the different things involved and seeing what it would take to reproduce it, and researching what the driver would look like if I was to write a driver for their solution. And then I just said, I'm sorry, but I just don't think this is for now. I think we should come back to it in 6 months when they've had 6 more months on it, and they're not. Yep. The last commit was in the last few days.
Yeah, if it's that commit happy. I mean, there isn't like, I'm guessing, a .fix release, .o release. No.
There's no release versions yet, and they do explicitly say it's not ready for unsupervised use, which means that they've got people round the clock watching it to make sure nothing goes wrong, and we can't afford to do that. I can't dedicate the resources to do that. So we can't even help with the stabilisation process because we're just not at that scale.
So what I mean, I don't know if you can talk about it. So what scale are you actually at then? So where do you work? And I don't know if you can talk about this, like what do you actually do that requires this type of load balancing?
Okay, well, I work for a white label dating platform, and they've got like more than 100 websites based on the same code base.
Okay.
And they're sort of like niche dating sites. So the traffic is quite a lot, but it's only at certain times of day, and it's just not at the scale that YouTube's at all. So basically, the platform that it uses was already written, and my job description is just find ways to improve it. And the code base is somewhere between sort of legacy and modern. Like, we've got lots of tests, and we try to use modern standards where we can, and I pester people to do things the right way in that. But in the end, we've got, 50 odd developers working with different skill sets, and it's just
trying to juggle that, trying to get like a main kind of standard.
Yeah, and sort of it's already in production, so like we can't spend time making sure everything's PSR whatever compliant when actually we're in production and people have got bugs and they're solving problems. So a lot of the time we make kind of trade-offs. So, and the code base is 3 million lines.
Wow.
So it's quite big.
Well, it's really interesting though, because so I'm assuming, so is this kind of the kind of code base that someone brought, kind of started hacking on it a bit, and then it's built up, and then it was like, oh yeah, we can use that again for this site, and it's kind of it's slowly being built up. This is a very common occurrence. I've definitely felt this before.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite the normal story. Sort of, a small team got successful, and they're they wrote a little framework, and they done things semi properly for the year, but that was years ago, and it's successful, and it runs at a much different scale to what it had at first, when it was just being used on 1 or 2 sites, and so it's quite fragile. It's sort of my job to improve that, so I probably shouldn't say that it's fragile, but it is.
Well, I mean, that's why you got a job, isn't it? To solve these things.
It does really well. It's not like it crashes all the time, all that. It's quite stable. It's just a lot of the programmers are set in their ways, and they're not great ways, some of them. I
mean, Mickey, you can definitely, I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth, you can testament to this kind of thing as well, where dealing with code bases, legacy code bases and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Well, I actually enjoy that more than starting something new, though, a lot of the time, because something new can fail.
Yeah.
But something that's already successful and that you're looking at improving, you can really make a difference there. You can actually save servers, and you can save actual time, and you can actually push the business forward. But when you're just working on something brand new and it's not making money yet, there's always the possibility that you will lose your job because the business isn't successful.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I think for me, like, I've had this actually today where it's like something's not working, and it's like, well, okay, I'm gonna completely take out that code and rebuild that bit. But then it's like, how far down the rabbit hole do you go? And because where do you cut it off? You know what I mean? Like, chances are if you have to refactor a section of code, then probably there's more that you going to need to do, and then more, and you keep going, and it's tricky, isn't it? Whereas if it's your own project, you start from the ground up, then everything's done the way that you want it. That's not to say that you'll do it perfect first time, but I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's basically what I do.
Yeah,
that's cool. And so, is it a PHP role, a C role? Because I know that you've released a couple because they're quite nice. They're quite cool about releasing this stuff to the open source world.
Oh God, they're so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that must be awesome.
Well, I mean, I to quote the guy who gave me the interview, I can write in Thai if I like. I don't. I'll get given a problem and solve it. That's my job, is to solve it, not to use a particular language or framework or whatever.
That's very cool.
So yeah, that is very cool. And like the other day, like I just said, I just said to my manager, like I'm going to give up on this Vitess thing. I've been reading for like a month, and you know how that gets. You're sort of just starved.
Yep. You're so entrenched in the problem, and you're just like, I don't know what. Yeah.
And I said, oh, can I have a couple of days to catch up on like open source stuff and that? And he said, oh yeah, do whatever interests you. And I thought, that's just great.
That's amazing.
Do whatever interests you.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to find that sort of thing, but yeah, they're very liberal, I suppose.
No, that's really cool. I mean, because that was one of the things actually that actually sparked this week with me is like remote working, because I assume that you work remotely, at home, in the Isle of Wight, and I know Mickey, you've had experience, and you actually currently still have experience working remote, and I'm just wondering from both your angles that I don't know whether you both may have different opinions on it, because I know Mickey, you kind of loved it at the beginning, and maybe now you prefer being in the office, and it'd be really interesting to see how you deal with it and how I mean the pros and cons of working remote.
Would you like me to go first?
Go for it, Mickey. Go for it.
You go first. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess for me, it really depends on. I love working from home if I know that I've got something I can get my teeth into and I can just crack on. And it's like when everything's going well, you're happy just to keep on coding for hours and hours, and you think, wow, I've not had any food or anything. But the problem is, if you're working on a project with multiple people, and certainly in my role now where we are, and we've got designers, front end developers, blah blah blah, and we're working on web, like e-commerce projects or brochure sites, that kind of stuff. You need that communication, and then the way we would do that is on Skype if we're working from home, and I don't find that efficient. I would argue that is not efficient. So I do like that when you can just walk over to someone's desk and say, hey, what's going on here, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And also it's just good for having a quick update. Like sometimes you get to the end of a bit of work and then you want to well, what am I going to do next? I could really do with talking with both these people. And okay, you could do a group call on Skype, but something is missed. And I don't know, for me, I much prefer being in the office now, which is weird. I never thought it would be that way, but that would be my sense. But you go, Joe.
Well, I think, to be honest, the main driver for me wanting to work from home is I get to be here all the time my kids are.
Yeah.
And that is basically the main driver of it. I mean, not least of all, life wouldn't work for us if I had to go out of the house.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of I've been doing it for like 10 years now, more than 10 years. So I've just got used to it. But I'd say the things that's probably the actual reason. But the things I enjoy, the things I appreciate about it are a lot of the time I need to think, and people get in the way of thinking.
Yeah.
You can lose your train of thought, and it can take you an hour to get back on it. It literally can take you an hour to rebuild the model that you had in your head before someone came over and asked you some mundane question.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And I can't work like that. I need to have, like you said a minute ago, sometimes you work without eating and you'll not sleep properly, but I actually need to do that to work the way I do. It's probably, that sounds really unhealthy, but that's just the way it is, and I recognise that's the way it is, and I don't think I'd be as productive when you sit in and I just tend to get asked a lot of questions, and then I have worked in office environments briefly on temporary contracts, and I just find it a nightmare. All people just asking you all the time, and that's probably what I appreciate the most. But the other thing is, you get lonely, even if you've got like your whole family around you and pets and a cat and a rabbit and whatever. You still get. There's no one to actually talk to, no one to bounce ideas off of.
Working from home can be quite lonely, like even if you're surrounded by your family. And I speak to so many people at my place who say exactly the same thing, and it can be. You know what? Sometimes it is nice just to have you to be with your colleagues, but it's a double-edged sword.
I was just good because both of your thoughts, like both of me thought made me think the right people, like the people that will leave you alone, at the time when you're thinking. Yeah, I know they're hard to find, but the people that know, okay, he's in his zone. Well, zone is about, but he's obviously thinking. He obviously needs to be on his own. I'm not going to ask him these questions. And the people that you can go to, and you will want to bash ideas off. And the thing you said there, Mickey, about getting a couple of people together just to kind of brainstorm something, it is valuable in person. I can definitely understand that. I can. And, but I do think you can make remote working work. Yeah. If you've got the right people who can. Another thing I think is kind of articulating your problem and being around to actually, answer questions and expressing yourself, because it is a different medium, isn't it? Now you're not in face to face. Now you're going to have to talk to a computer screen. Yeah. This week, as I said, as you were kind of alluding to, Mickey, was that I've done a week working remote, and I've been in the office I've been working here since June, July last year, and now this is the first week I'm working fully remote. I do agree the loneliness gets you a bit, actually, and as you say, you both said, even though you got your family around, they're not the geeks. They're not the people who are working on the same problem. You can't have banter about, problems that you're working on, and they're kind of dealing with the same stress that you're dealing with. And though you may be able to convey it in a Skype message or a hip chat comment or, whatever, it doesn't come the same as being able to be face to, desk to desk and seeing, we're both solving that, sorting out and having our own problems that we need to deal with.
Yeah. I think the other thing to say is, when it comes to working on a team and everyone's remote, Skype's no good at that. I mean, we use Skype for showing each other pictures of kittens and whatever, but for actual collaboration, there's Fabricator and there's other sets of tools you can use for that sort of thing. And we do a lot of our collaboration with the actual tools. And so when it comes to Skype's not a very good medium for conveying complex ideas. It's awkward to read code and things like that. But when you're in the environment of Fabricator, you've got all the tooling that you need to sort of communicate your ideas, like code editors and the ability to edit each other's code and things like that. So that's the other thing to say. That makes that much easier. It's not as if you've got to sort of keep trying to explain your ideas in English on Skype all the time. I mean, that can sometimes get annoying, especially when everyone you work with is not maybe native English, but everyone understands code, so you can just go and explain your ideas with actual code. So that's the other thing to say about that. That makes it much easier. I remember when no one really used tools because it was just an added expense. Everyone just got together on Skype or in an IRC room or on some other chat room, and that was a nightmare. That was horrible. But collaboration tools make it all much easier.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Yeah,
that's interesting. So what is Fabricator then? Is that a code sharing, collaboration?
Auditing and review, and it's got Git hooks and it integrates with your version control and all that kind of stuff. And it just it's got all the collaboration tools that you might want, Gist, Pastebin and that sort of thing. So you can actually work on a bit of code, in a proper sort of semi-proper coding environment, and that's invaluable, I find.
Yeah, do you find so that's it. How does your process then work then? Is it very much like you work with other people, or are you just given problems that you then solve on your own and then come back to the group and kind of just describe your findings?
Basically, I'm just given a problem to solve, and then I solve it, and then I tell the group how to sort of use the solution. I haven't really been put to work directly with any PHP developer. I was put to work with one guy, but he left. So yeah, I basically I work.
Or you killed him. I don't know. You know, I killed him.
I didn't kill him. He really did leave.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't actually. I work on my own, and then I'll have. Sometimes the solution will be PHP, and sometimes it will be C, and sometimes it will be something else. And so I'll do the solution, and then if changes are needed, I tell the rest of everyone else what to do. Or I publish it in the PHP manual. That's
what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah. And I suppose there it comes into the stuff that you do specifically. Like, I suppose you're working with a lot of different, you know, a polyglot kind of development, you know, community where you've got a lot of people who are PHP, C. I don't know, actually, are you mainly the only C programmer, or are there a lot?
I'm the only C programmer, but we do have like many different teams like iOS and Android and that sort of thing as well. Many different people around.
And I suppose there is that documentation and writing these things down is really valuable because, you know, sometimes you're not, you know, quickly to the computer, you know, you're away, AFK, and people need to know stuff. So writing this stuff down must be important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can, if it's PHP, it's easy. I mean, they can just read the code, but yeah, other things are quite difficult. So ideally, I like to be able to, if it's a PHP extension, I like to be able to publish it because then I can put it in the PHP manual and all the work's done for me. And it sort of gets tested for us for free as well, which is probably
a nice thing. Absolutely. And I suppose, I mean, this is the thing, like, you don't really see your company. I mean, I haven't seen you put branded to a company that, you know, they kind of think, you know, that this guy who works for them kind of, you know, put my corporate hat on it, you know, that actually, you know, works for them, does, you know, all this awesome stuff for PHP. And it's pretty cool that they allow you to, you know, spend the time to actually do this and actually release it because, you know, you're giving back to the community, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. But I think it should not be so surprising that's, I mean, I got quite a cushy role, but it shouldn't be so surprising when someone gets work time to work on something open source. I mean, if it wasn't for open source, then none of us would really have jobs.
Yep.
So everyone, if you've got someone in your company that's able to, everyone should be allowed to sort of contribute back, even if it's a PHP package or, you know, something on Packagist or whatever, or just in some other way contribute to the manual, PHP manual or whatever. I think every company should make an effort to do that because nothing would get done if it weren't for some people being allowed.
Well, that's it, absolutely. And, like, you know, all this, you know, the free work that these people are putting in is providing pretty much businesses. They're creating businesses, creating opportunity for other people, and giving back is a really valuable thing.
Yeah. So everyone should try.
I was just looking at Fabricator. It looks amazing. Looks like something I've been looking for years. But
it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something that you came across when working for the company you're working for now, or you used it personally before?
Well, I'd heard of it before. Facebook use it for HHVM.
Right.
I'd heard of it before, but I'd never actually seen it. And then I started this job and we were using it. And then I found out that Facebook were using it as well. So it's quite, apparently quite well used.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we never have any actual problems with it, and it's got loads of stuff.
I could be playing with that later. Yeah, nice.
Try and deploy it in your company.
Yeah. I'll give it a go.
So that's the thing. So with Mickey, with your work, you know, because I think, you know, you're both working on very different, you know, things. You're working in an agency environment, and then, you know, Joe's working on back end kind of optimization stuff. You're liaising with, you know, other developers, designers, front end developers. How, you know, I mean, I felt in the last couple of days, you know, sometimes it is better walk to the desk. But how would you articulate and how do you kind of solve the problem if you can't be face to face?
Well, this is it. I mean, I've said this many times, but I hate meetings. I especially hate meetings about meetings. But but they do have their benefits, I guess.
To waste time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a tricky one. I mean, like, we've just brought in recently, and I kind of develop an update every day now at 9:30.
Oh, so like a check-in type thing. Well,
exactly.
Kind of
agile.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be heading towards that. And,
that sounds extremely stupid.
Well, when it first started, I thought it was quite helpful. The idea was that we have lots of developers, and we quite often have no idea what the other developers are doing.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we all get an idea what each other else is doing, and then if we hear about it, we might be able to help each other with stuff. I would say the first week it was really interesting, really helpful. But then, like, me and a developer today, we're talking and we're saying, I have no idea what everyone else is doing. Because
even though you're doing,
even though we stood for it, because it's hard actually, because then it's kind of, how much detail do you give? And all that ends up happening is, yeah, I'm working on this project today. Tomorrow I'm working on that project. And you don't get into nitty gritty. And
then I suppose because it's gone out of the remit of just being a check-in type thing, because, you know, if you start delving into problems. I think, again, it's people though. Surely it's like trying to work out, you know, I don't know. I mean, Joe, you're saying that was, so have you ever done that kind of thing where you like check in at like a certain time? And
no, you definitely don't want me in a meeting. You don't want me in a meeting. So that doesn't happen.
Are you the rowdy guy, or are you the guy that just says, I don't want to be here?
Well, a meeting only gets to finish because nobody interrupts. Nobody interrupts, and I interrupt. So I don't like people being vague. So if you're gonna, like you just said, how much details can you give?
Yeah.
If you say to me, I'm gonna tackle X problem, I'm gonna ask, how are you gonna tackle X problem? Then you're gonna tell me how you do it, and I'm gonna tell you you're doing it wrong. And anyone would though, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
They're gonna have a better idea.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it like this?
Yeah.
And then that's just a waste of time. Why don't they just do their job and I'll do mine?
I agree with you.
What we do is just every morning we just say I'm doing whatever I'm doing today, but there's no like you have to come in and we have to all discuss it together and that, because that is just, it seems like a waste of time to me.
That's interesting. I mean, that actually goes on to another point I was thinking of, like, it just, I suppose, kind of like just developer life. Criticism. It's one of those things, everyone hates it, like, you know, and people give it and people take it. And I very much, you know, I found like throughout my kind of life developing and just in general, you know, I mean, obviously we all take it and we're like, oh wow, I can't believe that guy just said that, and you may say something and feel something, but you know, like, I suppose everyone's just trying to convey their own opinion. I suppose with, again, working external, it's very different, because if I can say something, it's like Twitter, it's the same thing with Twitter, is that, you know, if I say something to you in face to face, it may come across as, again, genuine heartedly nice comment. But then maybe over Twitter or over a comment, over a Git, you know, because a pull request, you know, comment, it may sound like I'm being a complete and utter dick.
I wrote about this on my blog. Not specifically for everybody, but those that put. I suppose it is the same for everybody who works on a big team. But if you put yourself out there, like say you're Sebastian, the guy that writes PHP Unit, or you're Taylor, the guy that writes Laravel. If you put yourself out like these people, and then you put your code out there, you're really opening yourself up to massive criticism and
jealousy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I use the term Hulk syndrome, because even the faintest words can seem like an attack. Because every time you go out in public, every time you expose yourself to the public, you go on Twitter or whatever, people are talking about you and they're calling you names and whatever, and then it just, you do feel attacked anytime anyone says anything. And I suppose on a big team, a big enough team, there would be a bit of that as well. You'd feel like you're always being criticised, and it's difficult to sort of, it's difficult to temper your responses, and then it just makes it worse. So maybe there's a bit of that in the workplace as well. But I used it to sort of explain why you see people like Taylor telling other people just to fuck off on Twitter and that, because he's just obviously just losing his temper because he's always
been dealing with it. I mean, that is exactly it, and it is code is personal. Code, it comes from an idea, it comes from an expression. You know, I mean, you know, you can go to the cliche of code is art. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I would say it's definitely, you know, it's a very, but if you saying that I've done something, if I feel that I've done something right, I mean, this is just a genuine human thing. If I feel I've done something right and then you're saying, no, that's wrong.
You feel attacked.
You do. You feel personally hurt. I mean, you've given this code, and especially in the open source world, I don't know how you deal with it. If someone in the open source world gives you've submitted this code, you pushed it out, you're releasing this for the good of the community, and then someone comes along and just says, no, it's not good, or says, but they don't. It's not constructive. I think that another thing is destructive, which really hurts.
I try to keep in mind that the Hulk syndrome definitely does exist, and no one's out to get me. And
that's really interesting. I have read that, but I just thinking back, I have read the article, and it is a really interesting article. I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Usually, if people are talking, even if they're not very eloquent, they've got something to say, and even if they're using language that seems like they're attacking you, they've probably got something to say. So I just try. I mean, obviously, people don't talk about each other at work like they do in open source. But I suppose on a big enough team with enough
I think they do. I really do think they do.
Yeah.
I think because once you put, because I mean the thing is
you might not speak like that about the guy next to you, but you might speak about like that about a guy in a different team.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, if you've got big companies that I mean, again, multinational companies, it's almost the same as working. I'm guessing, kind of remote, and you're working, in different open source projects, and then if you'll say these things.
I think it's important to recognise that we sort of create that situation as well, but because we're sitting here saying, oh yeah, that's definitely right, but then without realising that at some point we've been the people creating the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's worth recognising that it's probably something that you shouldn't be looking for ways to sort of temper your reaction. You should be looking for ways to stop people provoking reactions and, try and steer the conversation in a productive direction. I don't know how to do that. And I don't always react the best. I will tell people to fuck off if they annoy me on Twitter because I'm just a human.
I think you're right, though. And I think, like, your point, Ed, I think you hit the nail on the head, really, because, like, especially stuff that's open source, like, I get it, like, I've got, like, a disgust being on my site, so I get negative comments now and again. And there's some things on, like, my site that, like, stuff that I was doing when I was still coding procedurally. And I'm like, I've left that on there because there's still some useful stuff in there. It's not how I would do it now, but there's some useful stuff in there. But a lot of people, like, think, oh, I can just copy and paste this code. And then when it doesn't work, they'll come and cite you for it. And it's like, well, actually, I didn't put the code there for you to copy and paste. I put it there so you could kind of have a look at how I do things and take some of the methodology. And I do get a bit offended. Not offended, but I do take it personally sometimes.
I think it's hurt.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I do.
It's that, yeah.
And I remember, and like, just you guys talking about Taylor and stuff, like, I remember, like, I think it might have been Jeffrey Way tweeted Taylor said, oh, whenever you read a tweet, remember imagine the person smiling as they typed it. I was like, well, that's great, but if the person tweeted like, oh, you idiot, you couldn't code to save your life. If you imagine the person smiling while they wrote it, it's not really going to help, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's a tricky one. And if it's open source, like, you're not paying for that. So fair enough, you pay for something and it's not working, then you've got some sort of right to complain about it. But if you take something that's free, you wouldn't complain. I mean, like, if you went to a car dealer and it's like, oh, I have this car, there was something wrong with it, you'd be like, well,
yeah, I know, I got it for free.
I got it for free. I can't complain.
Excuse me, I mean, that is entitlement, I think. And it's strange. We have this, don't we? And it is so strange that for something that we get for free, we then slate and slander, and they are just human beings behind it who are creating it, who are like us, who have the same kind of thing,
So some of them are like us, but some of them are like that copy pasting machine that you had copy paste in your old code.
That's true.
Just a quick anecdote on that. It's really funny. Stack Overflow has been banned in India.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's been blocked by their firewall in India.
Why is that? I didn't realise there was a full country firewall over India.
I don't actually know. To be honest, or maybe it's been blocked by a lot of companies in India. But I just know that they've lost all their traffic from India because it's been blocked somehow. Anyway, a bloke tweeted, an Indian senior developer, tweeted that he couldn't do his job because he actually wrote a blog post rather, and he explained that he couldn't do his job because he couldn't get on Stack Overflow to copy and paste code. And he said that was how his whole team functioned, and they couldn't do their job because Stack Overflow wasn't accessible. I thought it was so funny. They just copy paste. They're senior developers, and they're just going on Stack Overflow and searching the thing they've got to do, and just making this copy paste monster.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to see that code base. It would be interesting to say the least.
I would. I think it would give me nightmares.
I mean, that's the thing. Well, I mean, Joe, because you've got some very, large open source projects. I mean, have you been as you said, saying F you to certain people and stuff, have people come and attack you on your code or on not helping them for copying and pasting reasons type of thing?
Well, not really. A couple of people have made snarky comments on Twitter, and I actually rose above it and I didn't tell them to fuck off. I asked them to report any problems.
Yep, I love that. No, that's the good way. That is a nice PR way of saying, politely screw yourself.
I did leave a stupid bug in PHP Debug, which is software that's had about 50 hours spent on it, and I left a stupid bug in it.
But the thing is, stupid to find. It was a bug. You're human. It happens. Someone finds it. Fine. We can work on it. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, so someone then took offence to that. I can't believe you actually did a bug in your program. How dare you?
Someone tweeted that they'd found it within 5 minutes of looking at the source code and started.
Wow, lovely, positive. Yeah, great code. Yeah, I mean that.
And then they called me out on the use of the word awesome source as well. They said that we obviously thought we were awesome source because we'd used that word in our description on the website.
What?
Yeah. So I just said, just report any bugs you find. Thanks for your help.
Oh man, I don't know about you, but that to me would kind of make me want to close off a bit. I mean, I really want to kind of, and even do this medium of podcast kind of thing. It's just opening up a bit, and then if someone attacks you do feel like you want to repel a bit.
You just kind of learn to rise above it. I mean, if people want to help, they'll help. If they want to be dicks, they're going to be dicks.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
you just sort of do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways, doesn't it? I mean, I think pretty sometimes I'm too delicate. I mean, the amount of times I've sulked at you, Ed, when you showed me.
Oh, Mickey, we love you, man. You're like, oh, I hate you, and then you just come back,
Yeah, and it's only after I really appreciate, what you've taught me and stuff, but I can sulk a little bit, and I guess there's always room to improve on that.
I really do think I do. I mean, it's.
Yeah,
it's natural. I think it's the personal kind of hitting at people, and again, it's the media, and this is that goes into the remote kind of back there. Is that if you say it over a medium such as just text, or even over the phone, or not in person, people don't get the feeling. Okay, they're actually sulking. That's why they're doing it. It's not actually a personal. I don't know. It's interesting. These kind of working remote is really interesting and really good, awesome. But also, I feel maybe there's bits that you miss because you're not getting to work with these people. But as you say, though, Joe, I mean, you were saying you want to get on with the problem. Your remit is you want you get a problem, you solve it, and you come back to the team. And if you're not pairing, and if you're not doing things like that, or you're not working, collaborating with other people, that really works well because you can just get on with your stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing actually this week I have found already. And it's going back into the ways that, because I used to do freelance stuff, was that I find it hard. It's very funny because people assume when you say you work from home, or, they say, oh, you work remote or something, they assume that you just DOS all day. They assume, oh yeah, you work from home. Because, I couldn't work from home because working from home, I'd just be too distracted by the TV and stuff. They don't really understand our kind of ways, which is, no, I want to get the work done. I'm addicted to it a bit. Actually, I need people to pry me away from it, or, especially the computer itself, and I found that already that I haven't taken, I didn't do a lunch today, and it's like, and I know that if I was at work, people would be, pestering, what are we doing for lunch today and stuff. And I suppose, how do you two both, kind of balance your days out?
I don't.
Does it naturally just happen, I guess, because you've got kids? I mean, that's the thing, both of you got kids, you're kind of forced to.
Yeah, that's like a natural break point in the day. I've got to drop off the kids at school and pick them up, but I'm at the computer anytime I'm awake, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, I take the kids out all the time, like zoo and whatever, because, like I said, a lot of the time we don't actually have to type. Do you know what I mean? We don't have to be writing code and deleting code.
That's a really true.
So if I'm thinking, then I can walk around the zoo and look at some pandas, and that doesn't stop me from thinking. And So I'm not saying I'd spend all my time at the zoo, but at the weekend, if I've got a problem, I don't just sit all weekend and every night. I'll still get on with life when I'm not, on office hours. But other than that, I don't really, because it's my hobby. And it's not just a matter of, you work a few extra hours every day and you miss a meal, and so you do a bit more. I mean, in the first 3 months that I worked with the current company, I made more commits and more impact than everyone else that had in the whole year before.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And so,
because you care, you're interested, you're intrigued.
If working like that can let you achieve that sort of thing, then I can do that while I'm still physically able to do that, and there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't make that kind of impact if you just 9 to 5 it and you.
Well, I think that's with all of us. Like, coding is not just a work job. I think you can definitely wheedle out the people who care about it enough to want to do it more. It's an addiction. It's a good addiction. It's a nice addiction. Because we get a lot from it. We get a job, but also we get a hobby. And I suppose that's another thing. Like, it's very, I don't know about you guys, but like I've found that, working 9 to 5, sometimes getting back, my hobby is programming. So I'll go back and I'll sit on the computer again, staring at a VDU, and I'll be thinking, actually, I'm not feeling that great about this at the moment. In a sense, you kind of burn yourself out.
I don't ever burn out.
See, now that's impressive.
That is
very impressive. We want your gift. What is the secret? What have you got? Well, is it the Isle of Wight, like air or something?
Yeah.
We want this.
It's just because my standard isn't go 1,000,000 miles an hour. My standard is get shit done at whatever pace is suitable. So sometimes I'll be able to go 1,000,000 miles an hour for a few months, and then for maybe another month I won't go 1,000,000 miles an hour, but I'll still be getting stuff done. It's I don't ever stop.
So you don't have kind of like because I think this is another thing. Like, I used to do jogging and like, I know, Mickey, you're doing it now. When you think like, okay, so I've now jogged 13 miles. So the next time I jog, I have to do 13 miles. If I don't do 13 miles, I've failed. Yours is that, is that, that you've reached that bar. So the higher, but yours is kind of, you're saying that it's kind of is a fluctuating bar, isn't it? Where, the stuff that I can get done now, I'm peaking here, but then it doesn't matter next week. I'm still getting stuff done. That's all that matters. Even if it's not as much, it's still getting stuff done and you're still feeling the same way.
I think the thing, I say I don't get burned out because I don't think I do, because I don't stop. If I stop, then it might be difficult to get started again. I don't really know, because I don't really stop. But even if I take a break for a few days, a long weekend, which I do, I'll still sit at the computer and make commits.
Yeah.
Do stuff if I.
It's a hobby. I mean, this is the thing. It's a love. It's a passion.
Yeah. And I don't like switching off. I don't really know how to just stop thinking. So that's difficult if you're going to take a weekend off and you haven't. Well,
it's like, say, don't think of your hobby now. It's like, well, that's my hobby. I mean, it may be my job as well, but it's my hobby. I mean,
I don't know if you find that distraction kind of helps. If you're trying to do something and you get stuck and you just try and do something else that's unrelated,
it unlocks it. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The answer will sort of come to you, and that happens when you're taking a break. So I even breaks I sort of sprinkle with a bit of work, and then I don't really ever feel like I've got to start from the beginning, sort of thing. So yeah, I suppose I'm not really very well organised. I just work all the time.
No, I think I think naturally you've kind of got a very good kind of philosophy that because I do think, like, I don't know about you, Mickey, but if I've worked hard and I've done that, I kind of set my own bar that is then the next. Oh, I've got to work for that now every time. I worked really well that month. Okay, so now I've got to either do that again or push it harder. And we don't work like that as humans. We need to have this kind of, we're working as hard as we can, but we need to balance it out.
Certainly, like in the last year, I definitely feel like I felt the burnout, to be honest. But I, on the other hand, I agree with Joe, and like sometimes I think, right, this weekend I'm not touching a computer, and then by the Sunday I'm like, you know what, I want to get back on it.
Yep, itching.
Yeah, it's a very strange sort of love-hate relationship, I guess. But
it's actually chemical,
Really?
It is. Yeah.
It doesn't
because
surprise me.
The unknown releases chemicals, and that's why you do it.
Is that what it is? That makes a lot of sense, actually, because I was Skyping someone at work today saying, I've got this problem, it's driving me mad, but I'm actually really enjoying it. That's really,
it's
really weird.
It's just, I'm getting kicked in the balls, but I enjoy it.
The same thing. It's the same thing that keeps UFOs hunters hunting for UFOs.
Yeah.
The pursuit of the unknown, the unknowable. That's why we keep coming back, because we want to know the next thing.
Because we want to explore, we want to know.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because there's no reason otherwise. I've woken up in the middle of the night and thought, I'll just write this down. And I'll literally, at 2 o'clock in the morning with no clothes on, just write a bit of code down.
Yeah.
And I'll be there the next morning.
I know you
no
mean.
reason for a person to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start
if it's 9 to 5, that's it. If it's 9 to 5, why would you do that? But it's because you care. It is.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your life, and I think that again is another thing with remote work. I do enjoy I use the 9 to 5 kind of ideology just because it allows me to kind of. I mean, I'm not organised in my own self. Being able to say, okay, I'm going to work these out strict hours, because I will just work all the time, or be doing something on the computer all the time. And I will notice after a couple of weeks or so, okay, yeah, Ed, you're kind of now burning out, and you're not as effective as you would be if you were to balance yourself.
I do have the hours 9 to 5, and I say hello in the morning at 9 and say goodbye most nights at 5. But then, if someone on the web team or my manager contacts me in the evening, I won't sort of ignore him. Do you know what I mean? If he's got a problem, I'll help him in the evening, because I'm sitting there anyway. And work's not the only thing I've got to do.
No, absolutely. When you've got other stuff, you've got the open source stuff, you've got your family.
Well, yeah, and I can't withdraw effort from stuff people are relying on. So even after sort of I've finished work, I'm not really finished. I can't just get up and walk away. So I do have 9 to 5, and I try to stick to it for the sake of being able to have a bit of time with the kids and our family and that. But it does become your life, and there's no point in trying to deny it. There's no point in ignoring people that want help just because they're not in your time zone or whatever. Yeah. So I just sort of admit that that's the way it is.
Yeah, because that's it. Because your work, so it's around the world. Then you've got these developers. You're all remote. You all.
Yeah.
Is there no hub? Is there no central place that certain people kind of bond?
Yeah,
together?
there is. There's an office in Serbia, but obviously they're on a different time zone, and then there's people in America, and there's one other guy in this country, I think, but I don't know what team he's on, and then there's people all over Europe as well. So there's all different time zones.
And trying to work that out, because I'm guessing you use version, you use Git or something that allows you then all to check in the code. And do you have one? That's always what we're interested with these big remote teams or just big teams in general. How do you structure your code? Is it just one central Git repository, or
feature branches? Everyone works on feature branches, and then there's a Git repository. Not on GitHub, it's a private one, obviously, and. Everyone works on feature branches, and then they get as a release manager, and he sorts out the merging and releasing code.
And then releasing it, is that a manual process then of being able to, that person needs to then merge it into master, and then
basically, you work in a feature branch, and then when your feature branch is complete and tested, you merge it into the develop branch, and then the develop branch is what the release manager deploys.
Okay.
So the actual release process is not automated, because we've got really weird database migrations to do, and we haven't quite figured out an automated way to do it. And plus the guy who does the release manager chap, it's his thing, and everyone says, oh yeah, you want to have automated database migrations, and yeah, you do if you're writing code today, but we just need to get stuff done.
Again, yeah, this is it. You've got a working product, and I think that's again as you said, it's nice to work on a product that actually is affecting someone. Having this brand new greenfield project, and if it doesn't actually work out, you've never tested. These brownfield projects are great in the sense that you've got a problem and you want to solve it, and you will see impact when you do these changes because people are using it.
Yeah, so that's the way we work it.
No, it's awesome. I mean, this conversation has definitely taken more of an emphasis on the remote stuff, but I've really enjoyed it. Mickey, have you got anything else you want to?
I was just I was going to ask Joe actually whether he's going to the PHP UK conference this month.
Oh, I'm not going.
You're not going? Oh no. Damn it. Thought maybe we could finally meet up then, but did you think about it?
I totally missed it was going on, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet, actually, wasn't it? I didn't see much on Twitter or anything like that, actually. I just sort of searched for it and found it, but yeah, it looks like there'll be some good stuff there, so.
I went last year.
Yeah.
Someone gave me a ticket last year. It's quite expensive, isn't it?
It is expensive, that is the thing, yeah.
And I was totally broke last year, as you all know. And so someone gave me a ticket, and I was really grateful. And I did go down there for a day.
Yeah.
But couldn't really stay in a hotel because, middle of London.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Yeah. And I went down there, and I was there for about 2 hours. And to be honest, it wasn't that great. But probably it wasn't that great because I didn't tell anyone I was definitely going to go. Like
I couldn't organise anything.
Yeah.
Well, like, the only people I met up with were 2 people from work, and then once we'd had a chat, and we watched like a couple of the talks, and they were a bit crap, to be honest.
Really?
And it was like the talks really weren't really aimed at me.
Mm.
They were all about how PHP works and that, and it was like, well,
you know,
I kind of right, P.
Yeah.
Well,
so it wasn't really aimed at me, but I do like the socialising aspects of it. Yeah. I went to the Northwest one last year, which was good. I'm going to South Coast in July.
I was going to say that. Are you? Have you posted? I know you said last podcast that you'd submitted. Are you accepted and now you're in?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome,
yeah.
It might not be awesome. It might be extremely poo.
No. Well, you're trying. That's all that matters.
I was going to say because this is the first conference I've been to, like a PHP one, so I don't know what to expect, whether it will be good or not, but I had a lecturer actually the other day said that sometimes these conferences aren't great because they're all about making money and they don't care.
Well, actually, I think that can be the case.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time,
it is
they
good
have
stuff.
made their money by the time the conference is on.
Yeah,
There's not much in the way of sort of pushy sales people.
Yeah.
The companies have made their money because they've got their name out there and they've got representatives there.
Yeah.
But they're not pushy.
Yeah, sure.
And they're getting their name out there. They're giving away freebies and that sort of thing, and that's all they really want.
Swag.
So swag. By the time it actually gets to the conference, a lot of the time, the money making has been done.
Yeah.
And now it's just sort of it is a lot about just the programming. Obviously, there's a bit of selling stuff going on, but it's not forced on you or that because there's representatives of the company there and they're trying to tell you about their products. But if you don't want to listen, you don't have to listen.
Yeah, so. Sure.
You're going to enjoy it, man. The social at the end, the social is awesome. Talking to other people. I think that's one thing that is hard, and you just got to try and get out your comfort zone. Well, you're actually good at this. You know, you've been northern and everything. Just talk to people. You know, just say, hey, how you doing? You know, what you up to? What you because everyone's in the same boat. We're all programmers, and people want to learn. We want to learn. And
you know what? I am looking forward to that. But also, like I've said a few times, like with uni and stuff, the thing that's really suffered for me in the last year or so is just keeping up to date with PHP. So I'm actually going to kind of catch up. And I struggle to that in my spare time now, obviously just being a dad and stuff and uni. So I'm really hoping to go and catch up a lot on the PHP world. So that's what I'm really hoping. I hope it is good content. So,
no matter what the content, you're going to get valuable stuff because it will spark conversation. And, you know, that's the beautiful thing about all these. I found when I went to my first conference last year was even if the talk wasn't exactly what you envisioned, it's given you kind of a thought and then you can talk to people about it. And it's great.
Maybe you can, but I can't just walk up to people and talk.
No, I can't either. No.
I
was going to say, you have to try and get out your comfort zone. I try my best, and it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm useless when I'm out of my house. I got no sense of direction. Like, even in a building, I have no sense of direction, and I always feel lost, and I feel intimidated by everything I see. So I'm not that great at conferences, but if you can arrange to meet some people, then that's
at least then you've got a place you can be, and then you can you feel at least you're like organised in that sense.
And you can't get lost.
That's a very good point. I mean, because your South Coast, lightning talk. When is this going down?
Not until July, actually.
Not until July. Well, maybe I don't know. Like Mickey, I don't know if you're around. We could maybe go down. I don't know if you'd be up for that, Joe. Well, maybe we could have a little meet up.
Yeah, what I might do is actually, I might, because I've got 40 minutes to fill at the South Coast Conference, so I might do like 2 20-minute talks, and I might practice them at smaller meetups and that.
Yeah.
So I'll be obviously going to some other meetups before July anyway.
Well, keep us posted, man. We'll say them on the podcast, but also I'd love to go. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We could just get a couple of beers and just chill.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I know we had like another little subject, but we have come
I think we've definitely got enough there. I mean, sorry about that. I kind of like diverged just onto the remote stuff, but I thought it was really interesting and like how we, dealing with stuff.
But I was going to say, if it's not too cheeky with Joe, like maybe you'd come on again soon to talk about the other thing we had, which was like sort of compiling PHP. And personally, from a selfish perspective, I'd really like to talk about building PHP extensions.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you'd probably be the guy to speak to about that. So we'll do that again then soon then, if that's all right.
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome, man.
Well, we're really grateful for you as always coming on and talking. So cheers, Joe.
Cool.
Anything else you want to say, Ed? Or
no. I think you've said it all, man. Awesome podcast, guys, and I look forward to the next one. All right, then. Bye, listeners. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to 3 Devs and a Maybe. You can contact us at contact@3devsandamaybe.com or follow us on Twitter at 3 Devs and a Maybe.